Everyone, this is Neil King for Random Acts of Cartooning at Penn Archaeological Museum to do some sketching. But first, okay, everyone, so let's get some influence for today's episode. This is a great little graphic novel. I think it was originally done in French. Catel and Bocquet. Kiki is this woman who lived in the early 20th century. And she was kind of in this, I was reading up on, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but it's this idea she was the muse of a lot of artists at the time. And she would just be the model for a lot of artists of the time. And she became very famous for it in the area back then. But I like what the artist did here. It's a stylistic, very cartoony kind of style. I can't even say it's cartoony. It's, to me, maybe it's more of an abstracted idea of cartooning. Maybe even more of a traditional expressionistic cartoonist, like images like these. Like there's a lot of passion in a lot of these, but I do really like the feel of the classic images of art and some of the specific artists that would have been there, man art, and others. Like I was reading in the back again about the specific artists that were handled in this. But the thing that I really liked about it was the feeling of that the artist did go, even with their style, and look at the specific places where these would have been, where the events would have taken place. And anytime I look at books like this, it reminds me to go out and make sure that I am still doing a lot of research and going to museums or going to different places to draw. It's just a great book to pick up if you haven't seen it before. Okay, let's get started. All right, if you've never been to the Penn Archaeological Museum in Philly, at the Penn campus, it is a great museum. So I brought my traveling sketchbook, where I walk around all different places all over the world and just sketch. I bring my big pen and I do some sketching. So I do love to go to museums. This was the last one I had done with Bill Strobel. So it's just a little book that I take with me. So here's this great classical sculpture that I thought I would draw from. And again, it's just a basic pad that I'm out there with. And I'm going to look back and forth to try to do as nice of a job as I can with the line art. Now I have my gooseneck kind of tripod thing on my on a wooden slab there, and I'm just drawing on it, so it's kind of wobbly for this one. So bear with me with this. But it is interesting to sit there and draw something. I'm just standing about 2 feet away, 2 or 3 feet away. And as always, I got my larger forms down, and then I'm just kind of going right in. It is only the head of it. It's not even the whole bust, but it's that's classical, Greek-looking image that we're used to seeing in museums. And it's great to see this too, because the light that's on it really does give you a great idea of how light forms around the face and the certain kinds of places on it. And as I'm going through, I just keep looking back and forth. Now that day, of course, there were a whole bunch of kids running in and around. They have museum tours. If you can do any of those tours, they are great. But everybody was very courteous to me as I'm standing there drawing away as they're doing some of the things, taking a look at some of the other things that are around it. That's the section I was in is the kind of the Etruscan uh, Greek um, area, and some Roman stuff there too. It's like one of the great museums in the country that a lot of people aren't even aware of. But I do like to go there and just draw some of the things. And I'm going to be going back many times for a bunch of episodes to do some different things and around there. Here I am continuing with just getting some of that detail in. Lots of little stuff going on. Looking back and forth to make sure all of my proportions are correct. And that's a major thing that in this, and I just keep on tightening up that sketch. Okay, as always, I am a working cartoonist, and another one of my books that you can find on Amazon.com in my Amazon store is Abbey in Hell. So this was another one of those books I had done a little while ago. I had done some sketch at a convention. This kind of woman in like a bikini or underwear or something, and she was on top, standing on top of skulls. So the idea is that this is this whole thing. I made something about the image, and it's just this woman going back and forth in her dreams into this, into whatever she considers her hell of her life and all the different stuff and how she comes out of it. And it's a zombie story, but it's a black humor idea, and it was really fun to do. And it's on the store, so make sure you're looking at the details in the write-up in the YouTube channel, and make sure you're subscribing and liking so that more people will be able to see some of my work. There we go. Okay, we're back here, and again, this is just a pretty quick drawing. I think I did this drawing in I think it was about 7 or 8 minutes or so, and it is a really nice experience to be able to go out and do this kind of stuff. In some museums, they do make it more difficult to kind of go in there and do this kind of work, but if you can, to bring a sketchbook along is a really great thing if you go to museums or you go to different types of areas like this. But I really do enjoy just looking at specific things. I wind up going to most of the sculptures more so than some of the other stuff. Like I love paintings and everything, but to draw, I definitely go right over to some of the sculptures who I haven't drawn. And I may very well have drawn this piece before. So there's a lot of detail up there in that the part of the head, because the hair and the different stuff, that stylized type of hair is very specific for periods of time during the Greek periods. So it could be anywhere from, when you see that kind of a stuff, it could be anywhere from the archaic styles to the classical stuff. But anyway, so I'm kind of moving my way through pretty quickly, trying to get a certain amount of the detail, and even seeing how sculpture was done at the time for them also, like what they added and what they didn't for something like this, and all the craftsmanship that went into making some type of a piece like this. So for me, and here I just keep, especially I remember doing the back of that head and how it all kind of works together. I'm trying to see these rows and make sure that they're delineated, so it does seem like it makes sense and it doesn't seem too sketched out. I'm trying to get a certain amount of detail without overwhelming the piece with it. going back and forth, looking at all that, the little bit of contrast that goes on there with between the beard and the neck, and I'm just doing my last kind of details in here, using some cross hatching and going around, but refining some of these parts, because again, like once you sketch something in with a pen, it's a lot different than a pencil where you're kind of going in and just like adding and erasing and doing all that back and forth. So with a pen, you really kind of have established something, and you really can't go back. So for me, I'm just like saying, well, did I go far enough here? Is this wide enough? Is this enough contrast? And where is that light coming from that's really just shining down above it? So I think that in the end, I went back in and I touched up some of the eyes, I brought the eyes down. Now, originally, a lot of these sculptures would have been painted. So there's not much of any pigment left on any of these things. But to realize that a lot of the things that we see would have been painted, it's a strange idea. So again, going through, adding some nice detail, bumping up the line in certain areas, seeing where that the shadow casts onto that marble piece that the head's mounted onto, and then eventually I'm just trying to finish off this as a little graphic. I'll establish a little bit of the marble area, but I'm not trying to allow that to take away from what I've done there with the head. And usually I'll just touch up little stuff. I feel like the nose is too wide, or there's not enough this or that, so I'm just trying to add little bits. And I'll probably put into a little bit of a background, like a little hatch, to make it separate and really pop a little bit more. But this is just a quick, nice little sketch, and it was fun to go out there and do. And again, I am definitely going to go and do a bunch of pieces here for lots of episodes. I'm headed over to one of the other galleries after this to go do a couple more images that I could post here as an episode. So again, thanks for watching, and make sure again to subscribe and follow all the stuff that I'm going to be doing on all of my episodes as time goes by.
Nobody else notices?